Hello, I'm Helen, gardener in residence. Welcome to Come Grow With Me, which is a series for little growers and beginners. So adults, growers, anyone who's interested in growing their own food. In this video, we will be harvesting seeds from common fruit and vegetable that we all have in our fridge usually, tomatoes, strawberries and bell peppers, and I'll be talking you through how to harvest each of those seeds and little tips and tricks along the way. I hope you enjoy. Now, I really wanted to start off the video something that I find really nice and useful, and that is saying what I feel grateful for that day. Now, I am feeling grateful today that it's really sunny. I'm also feeling really grateful that my lettuce here has come up. I didn't think any of my lettuces were going to germinate and turn into a seedling, but this little one has. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful I've got a cornetto in the fridge as well for later. Now, it's week 3 of all this craziness and also of the seed growing. So just to show you in 3 weeks, this is how big my courgette plants have got. Yeah, so they're massive, aren't they, really? And my cucumbers are doing well, thanks for asking, and everything else is growing pretty well apart from the salad. So might have another go at growing some more salad because it's really easy. Seeds. Seeds are one of my favourite things, and I love harvesting and saving my seeds for next year. One of the really good things about saving your seeds is that when you grow it, it will be organic, and organic fruit and veg at the supermarket can be kind of pricey, but you can grow your own for free. Good money saver. And the second thing is that it acclimatizes to your specific environment. So if you get, say, tomatoes from Spain, they might be acclimatized to a Spanish environment. I have been growing and harvesting my own tomato seeds for, it might be the 5th year this year. I decided to draw a picture of my first tomato plant, and I'm really glad I did now, because I have it on the wall and it reminds me of that 4 years ago, which is actually quite a long time, I started the tomato saving, and my seeds are 4 years from the same parent plant now, which means it should be very acclimatized to Plymouth environment. My first tomato plant was from a seed packet, but today I'm going to go through some of the easiest, simplest seeds that you can harvest from your fridge. And I'm doing this because not everyone has access to seeds right now. Not everyone can afford to order seeds right now. And if you've got it in your fridge and you can grow from it, why not? And we're still in a very sunny part. We're still in a very sunny part of the year. So it's a good time to grow, so now is the time. It's really nice to try and grow different things because you'll end up eating different things, but we're just going to start with the real basic seed basics. What you will need for this is probably a plate, a spoon. I know a lot of you have a plate and a spoon at home. I know a lot of you have a butter knife. I know a lot of you have an adult who will be very useful to help you with this. They will be using the knife. And from my massive recycling stock, I have some jars. Wash them out before you use. Now, they're all very low, on the old paper towel, toilet paper situation. But instead of that, and a reusable solution to that would be to use a little towel, a little flannel that you have. Now this is to soak up any water. And then a plate. Other things you might like to use are bits of recycling that you can put on the windowsill. So this actually had tomatoes in it, and I've given it a little wash with some water, maybe a little dry. There we go. And this will fit nicely on my windowsill if I need to dry anything, which I might do. So the other thing which I have is a chopping board for my table. You can use anything you like. You can even use another plate, just so you don't make a mess anywhere. But it's nice to make a mess, but not too much of a mess. So you've got to find a nice messy medium. The first thing we're going to do is look at tomatoes. Okay, so you will not need more than one tomato. I don't know if you've heard this before, you might not have heard it, but there's a lot of conversation around whether a tomato is a fruit or a vegetable. Now, officially, it is a fruit because of how they're defined as a fruit because of how they're formed, and they come from a flower. So there's this like yellow flower that forms first on your tomato plant, but we use them in cooking like vegetables. So officially, it's a fruit. And this little green bit, that is where the flower was. So you can literally see that the tomato has come from the flower, which is really cool. It's really interesting to see fruit coming from flowers. And I recently learnt when I went picking apples that apples are from the rose family, which I didn't realise. But then when I went picking the apples, I smelt them and they were really very beautiful smell. Something I'm really looking forward to doing at some point. Hi. This is my room. The first thing we're going to do is the tomato. I wish I had a backdrop to hide my life, but I don't. So this little fruit, first thing you want to do is take off the flower bit. Now, obviously, get help from an adult for this. We're going to cut it open, and you can see inside of the tomato all of the seeds are here. So usually you'd eat them, and that's great. Everyone is happy with that. This is going to be pretty simple and quick, hopefully. With the tomato seed, you want to take out the seeds, right, that you want. So we're only going to take out a few, and I'll explain why in a bit. So we have, move that back. So we have all our seeds here, and what you'll notice is that they have this kind of protective gel around it. So this is to protect the seed. Now you see a lot of people on YouTube and that sort of thing, what they'll do is they'll just cut the tomato in half and put it in the soil, and you can do that and it works, and that's totally fine. The way that you process your seeds is up to you, really. But I'll talk to you a little bit about why I don't do that. First off, this membrane around the seed stops the seed germinating. Ooh, it's gonna go wrong. Anyway, so it stops the seed from germinating because it's protecting the seed. So germination time takes longer, so from seed to seedling will take longer. Now I don't want to wait, so what I'll do is I'll take this membrane off. And what you could do, you have to be quite gentle because they're not dry seeds, these are ready to go seeds. So what you can do is you can wash them, if you have a sieve, you can wash them in the sieve and kind of take off all that membrane, and you can pat it dry with a flannel, and that's just to dry the seeds a little bit, and then you plant the seeds. So with your seeds, you want to plant them about 1 centimetre deep, and you want to cover them with soil and then water them from beneath if you can. If not, use the little mini watering can that we used last time to gently water your seed, and leave it in the windowsill in the sun. So many milk bottle type hacks. I honestly think I should be sponsored by a milk type company at this point. Let's move on. So you've got your seeds and you've either planted it straight in the ground like that, which is useful. You can do that. The reason I don't do that is because I have less control over how many seeds are going to grow, how closely they're growing together, and how quickly it's going to grow. And also there's disease, so you want to avoid disease as much as possible and give your seeds the head start that they deserve. So you can do that, but what I find difficult is when the seeds are growing in that situation, they're too close, and then I have to pull them apart, possibly damaging the roots, and I don't want to go through that if I can avoid it. The other thing is when you do that, you could end up with many tomato plants, and I like to work with the idea that everyone has a different amount of space, and I begin at the smallest space that someone might have. So they might just have a windowsill and not be able to have all these tomato plants, but they might want to have all those tomato plants to give to friends. It's up to them. I would plant 6 seeds, just in case, and because they're not always going to germinate and turn into seedlings, and plant those, which I'm going to do as an experiment because I've never planted seeds with the gel around them before. But the other thing to do to get rid of that gel so that your plants germinate quicker, and it also helps to kill off many diseases that seeds can carry, is to ferment your seeds. So that is why I said you need a little glass jar. Now the thing that I like to do is to get my little jar of recycling, which has been washed out, and fill it with water, and then what I'll do is I'll put my seeds into the water like so. So I've got probably about 10 seeds in here, and good sized seeds as well. So this is called fermenting your seeds, and what will happen is I'll leave these for 5 to 10 days, probably on a windowsill or somewhere near, and every day I'll give it a stir like that. As you can see, they're sort of swimming around. They look like little goldfish. So I'll do that, and what will happen is the gel will separate from the seed and float to the top, and all that gel I'll have to take away, and I'll have the seed, and then I'll dry it on this and put it on the windowsill to dry a little bit, and then plant from there. Tomatoes really like the sun and warmth to germinate and to generally live. So if you want to be extra careful, and make sure that you give your tomato seeds a good start if you want. You can do this fermenting process. It won't take too much space on your windowsill, and you can use that later. And then with the tomato, you can just eat it. The other handy thing when you're doing this with produce from the supermarket, this tomato, I can tell it's not a cherry tomato, which is more like a little tomato bush rather than a long tomato plant. I can tell this is from a long tomato plant. But if you look up what type of tomato it is, or strawberry or pepper, on the packaging, you can find out very easily what kind of tomato it is. You can Google that and you can see how it grows in the images, Google images, and then you can prepare for the kind of plant that you're going to have. Because if it's a little bushy one, you can fit that inside, hang it from a hanging basket, those sort of things. Gives you a few options for that. And if it's a tall plant, you can prepare that it will need a stake. So that's a piece of wood or something like that you put in the pot with the tomato plant and tie it up so it's not falling over, and different things like that. So you can look that up on the information that you have. But this one, I know I'll put it in a big pot and it will need a stake. So that's that. So I'm going to put this on the windowsill now and let it ferment. Now, as I said, that will take about 3 to 5 days, but you could just plant them straight from the tomato as well, which I'm going to do, because it's always nice to sort of experiment. If you can do it straight from the tomato and it doesn't, and you know, you're not too worried about bits and bobs, and save yourself some time and do it straight from seeds, or even more time and cut it in half. But it's really up to you and how you want to do your work and your garden. Right, moving on. So with my little gel seeds, I just put them on the plate for later so I can plant them up. Now, the other thing that you will probably have in your fridge is strawberry. Now, this strawberry is covered in seeds. The seeds are growing on the outside of the plant. Again, we have this bit here, which is the flower, and the center of the flower is what becomes the fruit, with the little white flower and the yellow center. This was the yellow center. Now, strawberry is classified as a fruit as well, as we probably all know, and so it's quite simple to get your spoon, knife, anything that you have, with maybe a slightly sharp edge, and what you want to do is just sort of scrape it, and you've probably seen this quite a bit, scraping those seeds off the top there. Now I'm going to scrape quite a few of them. I don't know if you can see this that well, but probably just half the strawberry. There's going to be a lot of seeds there, so I don't need to do the whole strawberry. As I said before, you know, I'm thinking about space and that kind of thing. So we've got all our strawberries there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give them a little wash. So I'll use my slightly messy tea towel. I can always put this in the washer and put my seeds onto the tea towel. Right, so what I did was put a little bit of water on there and just sort of rub them together and to break that kind of connection a little bit. And what I will do is pick out all the strawberries, which you can see now are not connected to the fruit anymore. I have to pick them out still, and I'll put them on this plate as well, because it's just handy to have a plate around. Just try and separate it with my fingers from the strawberry pulp. Now this will take a little while, so this is a really good activity if you're looking for something to take up a little bit of time. And also it's really fun because you get to see your seeds, you get to see them grow. And if nothing, if things don't work out, that's fine, because that's really normal. It's very much hit and miss gardening sometimes, so you can do your best to try and have a good crop and do your best to get the best out of your seeds, but they still might fail, and that's just down to the seeds. Sometimes it's not matured enough, or maybe it's got a little bit of damage. So far we have some tomato seeds in the gel that we're going to plant today. We have some tomato seeds fermenting and separating from gel in the water, and we're going to take these out in 3 to 5 days. And we now have some strawberry seeds. There's a special feeling that you get from watching a seed that you've harvested from a plant grow into a new plant, and then you get to harvest those seeds again, and you get to really get in touch with the cycle of nature and what's happening. Now, I forgot to write down the name of my tomatoes, what variety they were, but I remembered with my strawberries. So these are Chelsea strawberries. Now I'm able to look it up and see what kind of strawberry it is, and how it can be grown, which is very useful. And you can grow these in containers, growing bags. Avoid windy sites that will prevent pollinating insects from getting to the flower to pollinate it. Yeah, so it looks like a very hardy strawberry, which is handy. I have 74 strawberry seeds, which is a lot. If I was going to keep these seeds and use them next year, I would give them another wash, because I wouldn't want any of the strawberry to be on the seed, because it would kind of decompose and it might affect the seed. So if I was going to dry these and have them next year, I'd give them another wash now. But because I'm not doing that, I'm just going to keep it as it is, keep it simple. And last but not least is the classic bell pepper. Another thing that we all have in our pantry, in our fridge, in a cupboard, on our shopping list. So now the bell pepper. Now, bell pepper will grow quite short in a pot. I know this because I've grown them before. Now, these are going to be the easiest seeds to harvest, the bell pepper. And what you want to do, because I've kind of maybe forgot about them, which happens sometimes. Oh, there's a little pepper growing inside the pepper. Yep, got a little pepper growing inside the pepper, little roots. see if it's got any mini seeds. Nope, okay. Totally edible, totally all good. Here is the bell pepper. Now, seed-wise, all you need to do is this, because you've got the head here of the pepper. You can remove it quite easily. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll just use this bit to show you. So you've got the head, and all you do is gently push those off. Now again, I'm only using half the pepper, and everything I use I'll be using in cooking or later on, so I'm not going to throw it away. Now you can also just like do what they do in video tutorials and just sort of plant the pepper into the soil straight away if you want. It's just not what I do, because I like to be mindful of the space that I have, and even from just half of the pepper you get a really good amount of seeds. Now these seeds are not really covered in any gel or anything, that's why they're the simplest. All you need to do really is maybe with your towel that you have, is just push them onto the towel or straight onto the plate. That is that. It's really simple, so very, very quick. Right, so these are our seeds that we've harvested today. So we've got our Chelsea strawberry, our unknown tomato, and our very, very average pepper, bell pepper. Now, the tomato and bell pepper both like a lot of sun, and the strawberry is a little bit more forgiving. These Chelsea strawberries I can put in a hanging basket. The only thing with strawberries is they don't always produce fruit the first year from seed. So you really have to kind of like look up the variety and see. But the tomato and pepper will. On the bright side, if you really look after your strawberry seeds and you look after them during the winter as well, they will produce more and more strawberries and more of a yield for you, because they are, new word, perennial. So you put your strawberries in and they die back over winter, but they come back in the summer. Whereas your tomato plant and your pepper are annual vegetables, or fruit in the case of the tomato, and they will need the seeds harvesting again, as well as the pepper, and then you replant them after harvesting. Whereas strawberries, you don't need to do that. And that not only are strawberries perennial, strawberries also produce runners, and those are new strawberry plants that come off the original, and you can take those runners and plant them somewhere else and you have more strawberries. And yeah, so it's a big plate for a very small amount of seeds. Now, I tried to give tips and tricks on how I do it and how I successfully grow my seeds, but this is an experiment for me as well, because I don't think I've ever grown plants from the fridge, from what I have in my fridge, but during this time and with the trying to save a little bit of money and all those sort of things, I thought I'd give it a go. And it's good to know for myself and try it out, and if I make mistakes, it doesn't matter, because it means I'm still learning, and as gardeners we're always learning. And let me know what you want for next time. I'm thinking about talking about propagating. I'm also thinking about talking about the process of the seed, why it needs the sun, why it needs the water, the earth, all these different things. And talking about compost, or the difference between seeds and bulbs, and things like that really. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please send me in your pictures and share below all your tips about seeds, growing seeds, what you've grown from your fridge, what you've grown from things that you've brought from the supermarket, what has been successful, what hasn't, and send me pictures of your garden, what you're growing, how you're using your recycling, and how you're using your ingenuity at this time. I would love to see them and share them in my next video. Okay, bye.